device security, cyber security, and and her email is not it's the lady moving. So
I can look it up. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
the lady was very good. There's a couple of books on this.
For those of you. I like to say it is not to the classroom. Most of us don't know that. We've never used that before, but it is something that's supported in almost all of our smart classrooms. Not all of them. A whiteboard. You know, we don't think about it with the screen down, but we do have a whiteboard. They are kept pretty clean. Most of the rooms that we're in do have markers and erasers, although sometimes we're out of them. We see less and less blackboards, traditional blackboards. I like using blackboards over whiteboards, but my students don't like the scratching noise that I continuously make with the chalk, and my computers absolutely hate the dust. Projection screen. So what's important, this classroom has one projection screen, some have two. And what I want to bring up is that rooms with two projection screens, you could put two different things on each screen. You could put one thing on the left screen, something different on the right screen. And what I very often do when I'm in a room with two different screens is I'll use the PC for the left screen and my laptop for the right screen. And I find that very effective. Wi-Fi, we don't think about it, but John Jay has really robust Wi-Fi. Now, students are always having problems with Wi-Fi, and a lot of it has to do with authentication, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that we have thousands of students on campus watching YouTube, which really slows down the transmission speeds. However, we're going to take advantage of Wi-Fi today, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Lighting control, being able to dim and raise the lights. Most classrooms, not all of them, but most classrooms have multiple different lighting configurations. If I want to put something on the screen, I could give the students room to take their notes while dimming the lights in the front so they can get a better idea of what I'm projecting. This variable light control, most people don't take advantage of it. I wouldn't put my students in the dark if I didn't have to because they go to sleep. However, it's something to really think about as an option of our smart classroom. AC power for student laptops. This classroom doesn't have it, many others do. I don't know how many professors like their students to bring in laptops and use them in the classroom. I do in some of my courses.
Many of my classes have ebooks.
Ebooks, absolutely. Students might need to charge their cell phones if you want them to use their cell phones in the classroom. So a good number of our classrooms, including all the ones in the back hall over here, every student has an AC plug to plug in for power. Video conferencing, there are 4 classrooms on campus that you could request in advance of the semester. I think we call them level 4 classrooms. And they have cameras throughout, so if you want to do video conferencing, let's say we've taught a course in conjunction with UT Austin, and we put their students up on our screen, our students go up on their screen. We actually have classrooms equipped with smart video conferencing, but you need to request it from the registrar before the semester starts, well before, and you need to also have DoIT involved so that the video conferencing can get up. And then the big thing, and we'll get into it more later, is the emergency assistance phone. Right over there, every classroom has a phone, and we'll get into why those phones are there and how they work in a moment. So I'm going to turn this over to Joseph, who is going to show you a little more depth some of the equipment and what it exactly does.
Thank you. I'm going to talk about the standard input panel, which is common in many of our classrooms. But we have to understand not all classrooms are created equal, so you might not find this configuration in all the classrooms. What's important to note that in every podium, you will have a direct source for your power. The AC plugs will go in here. And then on the right-hand side, you have different slots, like the 2 small slots that you see here. That's for your audio 1 and audio 2. So if you have external audio sources, you can plug them in over there. And this big one that's protruding out, that's for video. The last thing that's important to note is if you do bring in a laptop that you want to project on the projector, you will need to have a VGA cord. This part connects directly to the podium, and the other end will connect to your laptop, whether it's an Apple device or a Windows device. And it's also important to note that this configuration might require you to have an adapter, so that because it's not all computers are compatible with this input.
Let me show really quick before we move on, because I know this is a common question that we get. I have this little pack that I carry around whenever I teach. It literally is full of dongles and accessories and batteries and my PowerPoint remote, because one thing we don't have in the class is a PowerPoint remote. Well, what else it has is it has all of these little adapters so that whatever I have on me, I can put up on the screen. What you need to put in your notes, what's important to know, is that our input is what's called VGA. That black cable up there, I'm gonna need something, the other end of it, yeah, right there, that end of it. I'm gonna need something to plug in to that VGA cable. VGA is the oldest standard that we have, I mean, literally just about as old as me. And laptops and current accessories don't come with it anymore. However, it's in all of our classrooms. Sometimes you might need to bring your own VGA cable. Sometimes the cable's already there. If you have a Microsoft Surface, or if you have a new MacBook, or if you have your own PC, go to Best Buy or to the Apple Store or wherever you're comfortable, and bring your device with you and ask their expert, what adapter do I need to export my video to VGA? This, for example, is a modern day USB-C adapter. This would work for a new MacBook Pro. This one right here is for my iPhone. If I want to put my iPhone up on the screen to show something off my iPhone, this is a lightning port to VGA. And on my older MacBook Pro, I've got a Thunderbolt to VGA. Basically, there's a lot of different standards. So my best advice to give you is to go to a Best Buy, to go to a technical store and say, here's my device, I need to connect to VGA, what do I do? There are lots of different standards out there, so you need to remember VGA. It stands for Video Graphic Accelerator.
And also, another important thing to note is that you can go to the help desk, which is the Jewett office downstairs, and they might be able to loan you one of those adapters. I've gone to them myself in the past and was able to borrow those adapters when needed, but it's based on their availability. Next, this is one of the most important screens that you want to be in once you enter your classroom. This LCD screen has, this is the home page where you will see the presentation sources and audio sources. On the left and right-hand side, you have hard buttons, and the central panel here is touchscreen. The presentation sources will allow you to display what's on that computer onto the projector. And if you want to change your audio sources, you would select audio sources here. Many instances, you only need the presentation sources if you are using that computer to project anything from a YouTube channel, or if you have a file that you're playing, you just want to be on the presentation sources. You would use audio sources if you are connecting an external device such as an iPod, for example. Yeah.
Okay, so you have a PowerPoint slide on your computer
Yeah.
or on the Windows, whatever. And you go to presentation sources. Where do you find the one for the particular?
On the next slide.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And that transition.
This slide right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you select the presentation sources, you will see this screen. If you want to project what's on that computer, on that CPU, you would select PC, and it's going to project whatever's on that monitor onto the projector. If you have an external source, like a laptop or an Apple device, you would hit laptop, and you have to make sure that it's connected with the adapter. Aux video is for external devices, which is not too popular. The first two would be the ones you will really focus on. The last two is DVD and VCR. Many of the smart podiums have a DVD player and a VCR slot in them. Not all of them do, but many of the new ones will have that. So if you are trying to project something from the DVD player or the VCR, you have to make sure that you click one of those options.
So after you hit presentation source, if you hit PC, it puts what's on here. If you want to connect your own laptop, you hit laptop.
I have a question regarding the volume. I mean, I used both the PC laptop, that's not a problem, but I have problems with the volume. Do I have to set anything? Should I just click on the
You should not
channel?
use it. If you're looking at, unless you're trying to do something fancy, which most people will not. When you hit PC or laptop, the audio from the PC or laptop comes through if you're plugged in.
I've had issues with
There's a lot of classrooms that aren't working 100% correctly. If you hit volume up, I would just keep hitting volume up to see if it works. And if it doesn't, we'll show you how to troubleshoot at the end.
Okay, I've had video streaming and the volume, keep pressing.
I'll show you what to do for that. That happens to you in the end.
And you can also control the volume with these hard buttons, the volume up, down, mute. And also the main hard button will take you back to the prior screen. So the main button here, the volume up, down, and mute are your main hard button functions that you should remember. This is the audio input panel. If you're presenting something from the computer, from the CPU, it's under the PC audio. If you're using a laptop, it's under laptop audio. And then also you have an option for the CD, DVD, and any auxiliary audio, which is external sources. So whatever source you are trying to present, you want to make sure it coincides with the options over here.
It switches over automatically. I can't think of too many reasons why the average professor or even the above average professor would use a separate audio source than a video source, but the system does allow us to do that.
And this is a picture of what's on the smart podium. You see you have your VHS slot on the right and the DVD slot on your left. So this will be found inside the smart podium when you open it up, usually under the CPU or above right above the CPU. Lastly, I want to talk about the emergency phone. This is the smartphone. This is a phone number that you need to remember. The extension is 8200, which directs you to the operator. If you select option 1, you get public safety. If you select option 2, you get classroom technology, known as Do It. Option 3 will go to facilities. It's also important to note that if you have any trouble setting up the smart podium, always call 8200 and select option 2 and tell Do It your name, which classroom you're in, and that you're having trouble and you're having a class in session. Many times I've seen them respond within 5 to 10 minutes, maybe faster. So you have that option. Lastly, option 4.
Yeah, if I was in charge and you hit option 4, somebody would come to your classroom with tacos for everybody. But that doesn't actually work. That's just if I had to say.
Yeah.
I've used the classroom emergency before. I've been in the classroom, I picked it up, I hit 8200, option 2, told them that I couldn't connect or I was having problems with the audio. And then literally some guy ran in during a blizzard, literally. The guy ran from this building to Westport during a blizzard. He came in freezing and wet. He fixed the audio and then ran out. And yeah, it took a few minutes out of my class, which it did, but I was able to get it fixed during that session, which was really important to me. So the phone is there for classroom emergencies, whether it's public safety, medical, classroom technology. The lights don't work, you can call facilities. And I find it works fairly well. It's something that if you've never used before, use it if you need it, but don't ignore it if you don't. If you're trying to live stream and you're having problems and you can't get that audio to come over, pick up the phone, 8200, option 2. Somebody will literally run, it's weird, but they do. They will run to your classroom within a few minutes and help you get that technology worked out. And I really was impressed that somebody came running during the blizzard. Something to think about. All right, so let's do a group discussion really quick, or at least let me go around and call for some volunteers. What really makes our classrooms at John Jay smart? Anybody want to give me some ideas in your head about what the smartest part of our classrooms are and what really makes them smart?
Variety of technology resources that are really available right from there.
Variety of classroom resources that are available and selectable, absolutely. Anybody else?
How savvy the instructor is with the technology.
That's a huge part of it, and faculty development will help us become more savvy over time. There's a lot of intricate things that could be used here, and us going to faculty development seminars, watching videos on YouTube, going to different classes, they will help you become more savvy and able to use more tools. Anybody else want to tell me what the smartest part of our classrooms are? Henry? Temperature control. I wish we had temperature control. You know, they trust us with so many things, but not access to the thermostat. I don't get it. Anybody else? Yeah.
For students, they are probably more
It is, you got it. Our students and their smartphones. It's not only the students, but the smartphones they carry with us are absolutely one of the gold jewels of what we can utilize as instructors if you have the ability or the want to do so. And I think that it's really important to realize that when I started teaching, which seems like it was a really long time ago, it was before the iPhone came out, and I would teach in one of my technology classes that in the next few years you'll all have smartphones. And they all thought I was crazy. Now, I mean, most of us, how many people in this room do not have a smartphone? One person out of an entire room of faculty, which is impressive. In the past 4 or 5 years, I have also had a single student out of all of my classes, all of my sections, one single student without a smartphone. And he was proud he didn't have them. It was part of what he stood on. I don't like smartphones. He was a privacy advocate. But all of our students carry these really fancy smartphones in their pocket that are chock load of resources and abilities for us to teach with. And for the rest of this session, we're not going to talk about the technology that comes in the room. We're going to talk about the technology that comes with the student and how you might want to leverage that technology in your classes. Or you might not want to. So before we go on, what to do when things go wrong? I mean really wrong, because it eventually will. If you break out of the basic podium and you start using different websites and apps and technical resources, I use Slack with all of my students in all of my classes. It's the only way I communicate with them. If you start using these more advanced technologies, things will break. Things will go wrong. You will be frustrated. Common way things go wrong, Wi-Fi internet access stops working. It's one of the biggest problems that happens over and over again. We actually had amazingly robust Wi-Fi at John Jay College. We spend an absolute fortune on that and the internet. However, every once in a while, things don't work right. If things aren't working in your classroom, even if you decide not to use them when you're done, call 8200 and report it so that the next professor doesn't have a problem. Smart podium malfunction happens all the time. It happened with you with the smart streaming. Pick up 8200 option 2 and report it. Dying or dead batteries. I mean, how many people's phone go dead? Well, all of us. It's nothing's more frustrating than when you have a student take a quiz on their phone and the phone goes dead in the middle of the quiz, right? So we need to prepare for these things. Tell your students to make sure their phones are charged before they come to the classroom. If you're gonna be in a classroom that has plugs with it, in my classroom bag, I carry a spare charger for Android and iPhone, just one. And every once in a while, I have a student who needs it. Software won't load, massive issue. Sometimes things don't work right, sometimes software doesn't load. Difficult, not prepared, technophobic students. That happens too. I had one last semester. It drove me insane. Every single class session, there was an argument with him. Whether it was, I only check my email once a week, and that's how I am. That's what the student said. All right, only once a week from home. That's what I do. It's every once in a while we find a student that has problems with technology, and it causes problems in the classroom. And external news and stress. I mean, this is big with our students. You know, the United States seems to go to war every couple of days or have another problem every couple of days. There are snowstorms. There's family problems. Our student could have dropped their phone, it could have broken. My advice on all of these common points of failure is not to let it run you down. Things will break, things won't work. Don't let it ruin your day. Don't let it stop your class. Try to roll with it as best as possible. If we have one student in the room without a smartphone who can't use the smartphone, well, pair up with the student sitting next to you. Sit with that student and try to get the most you could out of this. And then after class, try to address it and see what you can do. If that one student doesn't have the device, have them go to do it to the laptop loan program and sign out a device before class and bring it to your class. There's a lot of ways we could try to manage these problems. We're not always 100% successful. But I think when you see this technology, I think you'll understand how powerful some of it could be, and why getting 98% of your students on the same page might be better than not using it at all. Does that make sense to everybody? Question? Yeah.
Just a suggestion, because I have this experience. Don't be shy about asking your students for help.
Oh, absolutely not. It's
I once left my phone with that. Came back and I realized I didn't have it. The student said, "Use go. I'll use find my phone." What's find my phone? And they helped me, and I got my phone back.
I'm a really big advocate for when a student has a problem with their technology, asking another student in the class to help them fix it. I very rarely will stop what I'm doing. I very rarely will put it on pause just for one student. I'll take a strong student, I'll pair them up with each other, and I'll say, could you please help the other student? And I find that helps fairly well. All right, so we're going to go over two pieces of technology today that I think are pretty excellent, and we're going to do so quickly. You're going to see it might not work for everybody, but it's okay if it doesn't. One, which I am a huge fan of, and I'm going to be using this semester with my students, is called Kahoot. The other one, which is not as robust, but still useful, and I'll try to demonstrate at the end of the semester, is called Poll Everywhere. Now, both of these pieces of software are fairly new out on the market within the past couple of years. Both of them have free packages in which we could use to do most of the tasks that are important to the software. For example, this is a little hard to read, I apologize for this. This is Kahoot. The difference between the basic free, the pro, and the premium, a lot of it has to do with branding, putting your school's symbol on it. A lot of it has to do with long-term tracking of different semesters. A lot of it has to do with different games that could be played within that environment. However, the basic package, which is free for now, who knows about the future, has enough built into it so that we're just using the free one for our presentation. So everything you see here, you can go home and do tomorrow with a little bit of preparation. Sorry. Apologize. Is Kahoot an app? Kahoot is an app and a website. It's a web resource. You don't need to install the app to use it, which is one of the reasons I really like it. There is an app, but you don't have to use it. Kahoot has two different functions. You could give live polling in class, live questions in class, or you can create a challenge with a due date that students have to go home and do it on their own. So if you don't want to take actual class time to Kahoot with your students, you can give them an assignment to go home and Kahoot on their own. Or you can give them group Kahoot. You can put them into groups and you can tell them, all right, the four of you will get together, between now and next class and go through this Kahoot session. And I'm going to show you what it looks like in a minute. I'm gonna actually have you guys do this. You'll be doing it yourselves. Kahoot, this is what I designed for this session. This is our Kahoot for Faculty Development Day 2020. And as you see, there's a classic mode, which is the one we'll be using, or there's a team mode. You can break students into teams, and the teams can compete against each other. Then you can give the team that wins a bonus of some sort. There's a bunch of randomized options. You could randomize the questions, you could randomize the answers, you could show some instructions. There's a bunch of different options that you could use when you Kahoot. Let's say you don't want the students to be embarrassed. I'm going to have you guys put your actual names in there so we can see what it looks like. But let's say you don't want your students to feel, maybe it's a remedial course, a remedial math course, for example. I would never want the students' names to be up there, the students who are trying to do the mathematical problems. You could assign friendly nicknames so that you don't know which students, but it's not displayed on the screen. This is another piece of software I'm going to show you called Poll Everywhere. I know this is a little hard to read, I apologize. They have a free package which allows you to use up to 40 students. So if you have less than 40 students, or if you have 40 or less students in your class, the free package will certainly work for you. If not, you need one of the paid packages. They have one where the student pays for the license, and they have one where the instructor pays for the license. So if you really wanted to use this but don't have the funding, you can package this in with your class, with your course, as almost like a textbook fee. And you can have your students pay the $14 for this semester to use it. However, I will be honest, the free one is pretty damn good. I don't like having students spend money on things. So if I were to use this, I would want the students to do it for free. The interesting thing about Poll Everywhere is it has 3, 6, 8, maybe 8 different question types, multiple choice, word cloud, which I'm going to try to show you in a moment, questions and answers, a clickable image, like you want to show a point on a map, a survey, an open-ended question, and then competitions. So yeah.
You mentioned Slack. What is that?
Slack is something which I hope to show you at the next faculty development day. I don't let my students email me. I've taken them out of the realm of email. They're actually told never email me, and they don't. Slack is an application that facilitates communications in major corporations. Part of what I do is I help my students get ready for the real world. Corporations are shying away from email, and within the corporations, they're using applications called Slack or Symphony. They're 2 competitors. It's really messed up because my brother is head of IT at Symphony, but I use Slack in the classroom, and I realized that recently. So I can show you when we're done here, but it basically, you get discussion rooms devoted to different topics, and then students get them on their phones. If I reach out, if you guys email your students, how long does it take for them to answer the email? A week? A couple of days? When I Slack with my students, the second I put a message, it pushes to their phone, and they respond in seconds. So it's a way for me to keep very timely conversations with my students, and it allows them to collaborate in spaces that are very helpful. Okay? That's what it is. Yeah. All right, so let's look at some of this stuff live. Time to take out your smartphones. I'm going to hope that this works, but if it doesn't, I am just going to roll with the problem. Here is the Kahoot home screen. I have already signed in because I was fearful I would forget my password. And I have already set up something called FDD 2020. Okay, so I've already set up FDD 2020. It's telling me that it's been played once before, and that was Joseph and I testing it out. Now, some of us might be a little slow in getting this started, but I'm going to launch FDD 2020. I'm going to hope it connects, and I'm going to hit play. Now, here's that screen that you saw, classic mode or team mode. I'm going to leave all of the settings as they are. The settings with a crown next to it are only if you pay, so I can't use those. This is all free. I'm going to hit classic. And now we're up. And what it's telling my students, I'm going to lower this. It's telling you to take out your phones, open a web browser. Now, if you have the app, you can use the app, but don't use the app here. Open a web browser, go to that website right there, kahoot.it, and then put in that game pin. And follow the instructions. Joseph is added, Ida is added. Take your time.
If you need help, let me know.
If you need help, Joseph will come over and help you.
And for the sake of why not the app?
Because you would have to download the app and people's passwords. If I had a class that was doing this full time, I would tell them to download the app. But just for this short demo, try to get up on the screen without the app. Karen, VA, Joseph, Maureen. How's this name pronounced?
Well, that's just my initial.
Just your initial? Okay.
I had a question. You had indicated before that if you had more than 40, you wouldn't be able to use
Poll Everywhere.
Poll Everywhere. But
Yes.
could you, let's say you had 50,
Yes.
put 25 in one group and 25 in another group, and that would get around the 40 limit, right?
Yep. You'd have to design everything twice and have different accounts. But you can do that one. We're going to spend about another minute or two allowing you guys to get up on the screen if you haven't so far. Joyce just got up, Marta got up, Lisa got up. Now, you can tell me how hard this is yourself. I mean, is this an easy way to, is this pretty easy for you to get online? So far, so good. And think about what the learning curve here would be. How hard was it this time versus how hard will it be next time versus class 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I find students have a pretty good learning curve when it comes to learning how to get into software. All right. Anybody else still trying? We have one more person, then we'll get started. As soon as Melissa's in, David's up. Now, this is the time I'm going to put my own preaching into practice, and I'm going to shut off the front lights here so that you can see the board a little bit better. Come on in. How are you doing, Joseph?
They can't connect to the server. Okay, hold on. Let me try.
So team up with David over
Yes,
there.
that is always an issue I
It
find in the classrooms,
It
that
happens.
there's always going to be a,
Right now, we have one person out of the entire group.
the line at
There's
first.
two.
Yeah.
Team up with the person next to you. That's literally what I would tell students to do in the classroom. Just team up with the student next to you, look at their screen, work with them, and let's continue instead of slowing things down. So, here we go. We're going to start this now. You ready? I'm going to hit start, and you're going to get your first question. There are 8 questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. What's the name of this session? These questions are easy, by the way.
They don't give you colors. Oh.
Select the color.
Yeah, you read the answer up here and you select the color on your phone. No, we can't get that. Too late. Oh, it's right here. 3695567. Almost out of time, and now we're out of time. 13 people got it right, 1 person got it wrong. I like that. What is Adam and Joe up to now? Next question. And here's, by the way, the people that got it right. Ida got the first. Who's Ida? You're Ida. I know you. She's the first person who answered, so she got a little more points because she answered quickly. Next question.
Coming for you, Ida.
What?
We're gonna put Adam on Cyber Lab.
You put Adam on CyberLab, but that won't be. I thought we were in 1.66 until this morning. I should have
They
changed that.
changed the room, I thought.
Yeah, this goes to show how things can go wrong. So the right answer is the yellow answer, 1.66 new building. Next question. Ida is going quickly here.
I play Kahoot with my students. So
Video input could be controlled separately than audio input. True or false? Video input could be controlled separately than audio input. By the way, if everyone answers before the timer's up, it ends it, and you hear that bong symbol, and it gives you the answer so you don't waste time. True. Video input could be separate than audio input, although most people wouldn't have the reason to do it. Next. What is the main controller called? I told you there'd be a quiz. What is the name of that main controller? Crestron. You know our leaderboard? Joseph, are you playing too? Is that you? Like you're cheating. You know the answer. Alberto has a streak with 4 correct answers in a row.
Should everybody else?
I don't know.
know.
Probably. But Alberto's the one who gets the credit.
No, we're gonna flame him, that's what it means.
Help! I'm having problems with the classroom. What phone number do I call?
You have to wait for it.
Ghostbusters.
Oh, that's funny.
311. What is the name of the software that we're using right now? I cheated. I've given you the answer.
We pay attention.
Here we go. We use Kahoot's free package to make this presentation. True or false? All of this is free. part of good pedagogy is as students, right after students answer it, by the way, to go over the answer with them and just repeat it so that those who were wrong understand where they were wrong. So yeah, everything that we did here was free, it was simple. And how many, just a show of hands one more time, how many people were not able to connect by show of hands? One?
I had to restart it.
You had to restart it, you were not able to, and you didn't have a phone that was compatible. Okay. And then finally, 8 of 8, academic technology can be fun.
Oh my God.
See, like here it is right
You
now.
got the sound?
Put the answer in right away, it's still waiting.
It happens.
Can you change it?
Right.
Yeah, you can shut it off.
Or like put your own too?
Maybe if you pay. You
The
can't-
fee, you have to pay for
You
it.
pay for that?
I like it.
Okay, very good.
Wait a minute. Who's yellow? No, I'm joking. So then we get the FDD 2020 podium, and we see that Alberto is 3rd place, followed by Ada, and then Joseph has cheated, and he's number 1, right? Is that what's going to happen? Oh no. So that's you?
That's cute. No, that's us. That's real. You're seeing.
Now, if I was doing this in the classroom, which I haven't done yet, but I will be, there's ways to incentivize students. You know, I bring oranges to the class and give out oranges to
Well, what do we
students.
get?
What do you get? You gotta be the first one out of the room and we're done.
I'll take it.
So, you said you played this with your students before? A lot? And what are your experiences, if you don't mind us asking?
They ask me for more.
They ask you for more.
Can we do a Kahoot in this lesson too? When are we doing the next Kahoot? They really like it.
What type of classes do you teach?
It's translation classes.
Ooh, that must be very interesting to use that.
So
Nice.
sometimes I do it for terminology quizzes or vocabulary quizzes on legal English Spanish translation, where I put up a sentence with 4 different possible translations. They have to pick the best ones, things like that.
I'll also, that's really cool. I'll also tell you that it supports mathematical equations and other languages and symbols. So if, you know, you're doing any of those types of things, you can plug in, you know, complex equations and those types of things. So that's Kahoot. Yeah, question.
If everybody's using it, if everybody here in the class at the same time, what is the likelihood of less of us getting in, fewer people getting access?
You go into the hallway, they have a booster there. Your internet's way faster.
This access, so here's what we've done as a college. What we've done as a college is we've put an access point in almost every classroom. Access point should be able to hold, I think it's 50 people. All right. So I mean, what I really need to tell you is you need to experiment. You need to see if it works. You need to see if it works for you and your teaching style. And if it doesn't, abandon it and go back to something else. If it works like it has for you, like I hope it does for me this semester, it might be a really valuable tool for pedagogy. You got to remember also, some students have, like my phone, I have unlimited 4G LTE data. I don't know how many people have unlimited data packages, but I do. So in that case, I might ask some students, if you have unlimited data and if you have a good cellular connection, turn off your Wi-Fi so that other students can jump on it.
Can they use their tablets as well?
You could use tablets, you could use the phone, you could use a laptop, you could use almost anything to get into and Kahoot with your students.
Can I add something that I found very useful in Kahoot? You can also download the results of each student's answers on an Excel spreadsheet once you finish. So you can see who answered what. And then if you feel that some student needs a little bit more help or need a little bit more reinforcement, you can see who and target those students.
Now I'm going to show you another piece of technology that I think is a little less user-friendly, but also fairly valuable. Poll Everywhere. I put together 2 different questions using Poll Everywhere. It was also free. However, I think I'm just going to start with the word cloud here. I put this together before I came in the room, and there's a lot of ways to get on this. And let me launch this, and then let me show you something.
while you're doing that, if you could do two things at once, why is it that we can't see the answer on the actual phone, and we can only see it on the screen?
Because the company software doesn't support it. That's it. It's just, it's a fairly new company, they're building stuff, and write them with feedback. It might be because it would be too small on the phone. I don't know the answer other than it just doesn't support it at this time.
Can you, you were talking about an Excel spreadsheet. Can you accumulate who were the first, second, and third people to answer the answers correctly? So you know how different people are doing?
So, I don't know the answer yet. So let me show you something really quick. For Poll Everywhere, I actually put together a QR code. Not all of you know how to use a QR code. However, if you take out your iPhone or Android phone, if you have it up to date, a modern phone, if you point your camera at this, it should give you an option. There should be a drop-down bar, and it should say, do you want to open the URL? So if you can get in through the if you can't, don't worry about it. QR codes are a little funky at times. This is only one way of many way in. If you can get in using the QR code, use the QR code. If not, I'm going to put the website up on the screen in a moment. All right? So if not, here's another way in. You can go to pollev.com/AdamWant679. Wow, look at that. Either way, I would like you guys to try to get in. And here's the question. We're going to build a word cloud. Please input a word that best describes this session today or how you feel about the session today. You can actually put in 2 different words if you wish. So we're going to build a word cloud, and I'm just going to leave this up on the screen for 1 more minute. But what I would like you to do in this word cloud that we're going to build. Anybody still using this?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Oh, it's still up there too.
Adam wants 679.
By the way, for our person without a smartphone, you can also send a text message. You can send a text message, text AdamWant679 to this phone number, and you can also enter it that way. So see if this works.
Your phone is so small.
But we should be able to build a live word cloud.
No, we can get ours back.
So in mine says welcome.
Yeah.
I only got, did you find a session?
Yeah, me
It went to the first poll.
Went to the first poll. Hold on.
You're hanging out too, look, says.
Hold on.
Activate.
Did it change?
Yeah.
Yes.
It changed? Okay, sorry.
Okay, leave the one now.
Try it now. Now is it asking me for a word?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you. I think word clouds are fun. And I think word clouds help with student cognitive learning. And they certainly help with publishing what the successes of the class are.
I put lovely.
Don't get rid of your phones when we're done. I'm going to go to the other question.
No, I thought it was.
I think they're very positive words, I think. Sunshiny.
It's not doing it.
Still stuck on
Yeah.
Anybody else still trying? As I said, it doesn't doesn't always work, and this software is a little more buggy than the last one. I certainly am going to be cahooting with my students this semester.
Oh, I see.
I'm going to go to the next question. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. And now we're going to go to the next question. Somehow.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So.
Let's see what I can do here. Kind of hanging up. Let's see.
Yeah.
Told you guys that sometimes things don't work right. Now's this exact time. Trying to switch questions for one reason or another.
Who's the presenter?
Chip and Joseph.
Co-presenter.
Or Joseph and I. See if I can figure out what's going on here. My polls. Here we go. Did you find this session helpful? If you're still in there, you could also fill out this one if you haven't so far. We're going to be finishing up. I want to thank everybody who attended this session. It was a really nice turnout. I'm glad to see the room was full. Sometimes it's hard just lecturing to 3 or 4 people. I want to even thank you more for being interactive with this presentation. All of my experience here with academic technology at John Jay has taught me that most of it doesn't work and is useless. However, seriously, it is. However, sometimes, you got to realize I've tested out hundreds, probably, of pieces of software. Sometimes you get like a really good gem, like Kahoot is now, and being able to identify what's good and what works and test it out with your students and share it with your colleagues is a really great thing to be able to do. So if you guys find anything new and unique, please let me know, reach out to me. If you have any tricks or things that you've done in your own, any tips, please reach out to me. Other than that, thank you for coming to today's session, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you guys during the next Faculty Development Day. And yes, please make sure you've signed in. Where's the sign-in sheet? Thank you. The auditor in the back of the classroom has it, so please make sure to sign in.
I don't think you saw this.
Oh, no, I didn't. Hey, Gabby. Who wrote that to me?
Adam, great presentation.
Yes, Gabby, yeah.
We just saw a comment that was written that some of the word clouds might only support 25 people, which is why some of us might have been having problems. But thank you, everybody, for presenting.
Sure, no problem. So I'm going to have somebody do an interactive session. Investigation.
Number one.
And the other thing I would email them. They actually have a pretty good resource to get video conference. Thank you. Thanks.
I think it's gonna be great if you two, sure. I might need you to walk out.